Hello, listeners. My name is Bethany Cook, and I'll be doing a podcast today about using technology for the transmission of Irish traditional music. I am personally all for using technology to learn Irish traditional music and to pass it down to the new generation. There is a quote that I like by Christian Louis Sang, and it says, "Technology is a useful servant, but a dangerous master." I believe this is fitting because while technology can help you get into Irish traditional music and you can learn from home, there's so many benefits, but you can't get that far without actually playing with people and performing. There's so many things you can learn that way. So obviously, like I said, the first form of transmission of Irish traditional music is orally and oral. So oral as in you listen to the music and you learn to play by ear, and then you play it yourself. There is a lot of technology nowadays, so it's not always the case that you would just learn orally from a teacher. Okay, so here I have a quote from Liz Doherty in an interview, and she says, "People are gaining access to the music through different recordings or through the internet and may not be having personal contact. They're not sitting down with an older person, and you realize that personal contact, that is something you can't learn overnight. That's where the key piece of information is being lost." So I would definitely agree with this because there are so many things you can get from like working one-on-one with a teacher. You get instant feedback. Like if you're playing a note and they're like, "Oh, that's bad, that's wrong, fix it," and then you could fix it right away. Whereas if you were using technology, you could just play it wrong the whole time and you never know because there's nobody to tell you. Also, you can build a personal relationship with a teacher, and you can get help with little details such as like if the note is a little bit wrong or if the timing is a bit off, you can have that feedback to help you right away. But I would definitely not encourage eradicating all technology and only using oral learning because I feel like so many potential musicians could never have the chance to learn traditional music because they don't live in Ireland or they don't have access to a teacher or they can't afford lessons. There's so many aspects to why they might not be able to have a teacher. So I feel like it kind of gives more people a chance. Like it gives people a chance who wouldn't otherwise have a chance. Like, for example, when I was a kid, I really wanted to play fiddle, but I never got the chance. But now, like if I were to purchase myself a fiddle, I could learn in my home through YouTube tutorials, which is also very important because now it's COVID time, so we're not allowed to go to other people's homes or go to the session and learn. So I could teach myself potentially. So I actually find this really cool that I could learn just myself in my own home through like a YouTube tutorial. So here is an example, just a little bit of a beginner fiddle tutorial that I found on YouTube.
Hi guys, we're going to do a new tune today, and this tune is in the key of G. So we've got some of our new notes to think about for this one. So this tune is called Maggie in the Woods, and it's polka, and it's a very well-known polka among Irish musicians. We all know it. So we'll start at the beginning, and the way we're going to tackle this is I'll play the phrase a couple of times slowly and then move on to the next one, and then at the end we'll stick them all together and we'll have the entire tune. So just to break it up and do it phrase by phrase. Okay, so our first note is G, as the tune is in the key of G. So this is the first phrase of Maggie in the Woods. Try that again. Okay, we'll do it together one more time. Good. Okay, so the next part, starting on your high D. Remember to be thinking about your bow when you're doing this as well. Our long bows and our short bows. So one more time.
So this was a clip from an Irish fiddle lesson, the basics, and the song was Learn Maggie in the Woods. So from this tutorial, you have visual and oral cues because she has like a visual of the different strings, and then it lights up which string that you're putting your finger down and how you're doing it. And as well, YouTube is part of Web 2.0. So Web 2.0 is the type of website where you can like interact and it's participatory. So you can leave comments, ask questions, and make requests for new songs. So say if I was having trouble with this, I could write, what do I do in this one part? And then she could possibly answer, or someone else could give me advice. Or say there was a song I really wanted to learn. I say, I really want to learn this song. Can you play it? And then she might play it. And then also one thing I really like about video is that you can pause and take your time and be as slow as you need, which is a really, really nice aspect of Web 2.0. And then obviously the opposite of learning through technology, like the first one, is learning in person, and often people learn in a session. I'm going to play a clip of a session that's in Dolan's Pub in Limerick, Ireland. So let me just pull this up for you. Okay, that's the end of the clip that I'm going to show you guys. So obviously this sounds very fun. I miss being in bars and listening to music. That would be really nice to be there right now. And for a beginning musician, like I'm thinking of like a very much a beginner. Like say I was starting to play the fiddle and I just joined the session. In my opinion, I think that it would be intimidating at first. And also from the research I've done, there's some unwritten rules that maybe a novice who's not myself might not know about. For example, if you're going to a session and say I don't know the song very well, I should just listen and just kind of join in slowly instead of just play it wrong until it becomes right. Like a lot of beginner musicians can do this and they're just like, oh, I'm just going to play it wrong until I figure it out. But this can actually become distracting to other musicians and it's really looked down upon. So if you are to be in a session, it's something you should know. Also, never use flash photography. I feel that when you're beginning to play an instrument, it's better to use technology. It's less scary and intimidating than starting in sessions. And that maybe sessions should be later on after you've done some practicing, you've got some basics, and then you're ready to start it out. So we've been talking about how oral transmission is the quote-unquote old way, and technology is the quote-unquote new way. But I find that they're kind of like more intertwined and they can find a way to work together. I have a quote from Verena Cummings, and she says, "The imagined concept of oral transmission is that the tunes learned only by ear and fixed in memory through an oral portal. However, since the onset of the earliest manuscripts of Irish music to the current array of digitally available databases of Irish tunes, this essentialized concept of oral transmission in a media-less environment has all but disappeared." So basically, technology is here to stay, so you might as well use it for learning. Also, in Jessica Colley's Becoming an Irish Musician, which we used as the main textbook for this class, she was saying that technology is now centered in our lives, whereas in the past, it's just like the 50s, 60s, 70s, it was just part, well, not the 50s, but I guess the 60s and 70s, it was just part of our life. So this actually reminds me of a meme that I saw, and it said, I used to go to the internet to escape everyday life, but now I go to everyday life to escape the internet. So basically, like, the internet and technology has just become such a big part of our lives that we can't even escape it. So I think because we can't escape it, we might as well use it to our advantage. So Web 1.0 was like the beginning of the internet. So it's very much like reading pages, looking at things, not very interactive. And now most of the internet is mostly Web 2.0, where you can participate and interact and get what you want. Examples of this are like the session.org and YouTube, Facebook. And this is making technology similar to in-person learning because you can get feedback. And then you can also slow down and pause. Like, for example, if I'm learning something from YouTube, I could pause it and then I could continue. Whereas like if I was working with a teacher, I could say, okay, teacher, could you stop for a second until I figure this out? And then there's also an app called the Amazing Slow Downer, or ASD, which I found really interesting. And it says it can slow down recordings without altering the pitch. So this is really good for learning and also for listening to nuances. So I guess if you're on YouTube and you're not able to slow it down, then you could go to this app, the Amazing Slow Downer. Also, as we learn in class, the session.org is the biggest database for Irish traditional music. So it has just lots of information. A lot of people can like write their comments and have discussions, and some people fight. That's not good. People who are brave, though, they can upload videos of themselves playing and ask for feedback. This is similar to taking a lesson, except the problem is that the people may or may not be qualified to give you constructive advice. That's another problem I find with technology is like the internet, is that there's so much information. So it's up to you and your critical thinking skills of whether you would say that the source is valid or not. And then another app we learned about was TunePal, which is a pretty cool app because what you do is you play a tune for 12 seconds. And then you can either put like your smartphone up to the tune, and then it will link you to the name of the tune and the different types of notation, such as ABC notation or staff notation, and then YouTube videos and where to buy the discography and lots of information. Yeah. So I feel like there's like a lot of apps like the session.org, which is actually a website, and then TunePal and YouTube is just making it a lot easier to learn music, like to begin. And I think definitely learning in person is fun, and there are benefits that I would never want to get rid of. So, but there are also a lot of benefits from learning in technology. For example, you can learn from anywhere. Like I'm in my apartment in Montreal and I could learn how to play the fiddles as long as I buy a fiddle. And it's inexpensive as long as you already have your computer and your internet access. I could learn things for free. There's low pressure, there's less intimidation, there's access to so many types of music and technology. And basically, like, technology is ubiquitous, it's here to stay. We might as well just embrace it and use it as a tool. After all, it's a dangerous master, but a useful tool. So keep that in mind. Okay, thank you for listening.